Every time you choose tricks over truth, you're teaching yourself that the real you is not enough. And every time you risk honesty, you're reinforcing to yourself that your dignity matters more than short-term control. Authenticity is not for the faint of heart. It asks you to trust that being seen, even in your flaws, even in your fears, is better than being admired for a mask. But once you've tasted that kind of connection, whether in love or in leadership or anywhere else in life, you will come to realize that it's the only kind of connection worth having.
Welcome to Beyond Success, the podcast for high achievers seeking deeper meaning, fulfillment, and purpose. Now, here's your host, world-renowned leadership coach and therapist, David Tian, PhD.
For years, both liberal academics and conservative critics have assumed the same thing, that my past work in attraction or dating was about tricks, about finding ways to get one over on the other person, about manipulation dressed up as skill. But here's the truth. Lasting, authentic attraction cannot be faked. You can rehearse lines, memorize routines, even wear the sharpest suit in the room. But if what's underneath isn't confident, congruent, and honest, the whole performance will collapse sooner or later. Tricks might get you attention in the moment, but they can never earn respect, least of all your own. And that raises the real question. When it comes to connection, love, leadership, what matters more? Is it results at any cost, or results that allow you to look yourself in the mirror the next morning without shame, knowing you've built trust in yourself and from others that lasts over time? Attraction training, when it's taught properly, is not about piling on gimmicks. It's about stripping them away. It's about dropping the habits of pretending, hiding, or posturing, and instead developing the confidence to let yourself be seen, not just by others, but most importantly by yourself. The irony is that the more tricks you lean on, the more you erode your own sense of self-worth. You begin to believe the only way anyone will really like you is if you put on an act. But the deeper work is learning to respect yourself enough that you don't need any tricks. Because once you've built self-respect, you don't just attract others, you create the conditions for real connection, and you create the possibility of trust and self-trust. And trust in romance or in leadership is the foundation for everything else. I'm David Tian, a Brown University certified leadership coach and a certified IFS therapy practitioner. For almost the past 2 decades, I've been helping hundreds of thousands of people from over 87 countries find fulfillment, meaning, and success in their personal and professional lives. And in this episode, we're looking at authenticity and how it relates to attraction and why manipulation always backfires. For many years, the promise of tricks has tempted men and women alike. Tricks look easy. They look efficient. They make you feel like you found a shortcut into someone else's heart, or at least into their bed. Memorize a few lines, wear the right jacket, follow a set of steps, and for a moment, it seems to work. You get the smile or the laugh, you get the number, maybe even the date. On the surface, it looks like progress. But that's the false path of manipulation. Tricks give you the illusion of control while quietly hollowing out any chance of real trust. Take dating. A guy memorizes lines from a book or a video, and then he runs the routines, gets the laughs, and maybe gets the date, but deep down, he knows the truth. She didn't like him for him, she liked him for the act. And because of that, he can never really relax. He can never just be himself. He has to keep performing. He has to keep the mask on. He has to keep playing the character. The moment he drops it, the whole house of cards collapses. And what feels like control at first quickly becomes a self-imposed prison. Or take a leadership example. Imagine a boss who manipulates employees with half-truths. He promises opportunities that he knows won't really come. He withholds information to keep people in line. And sure, he gets short-term compliance. People do what he asks. But he'll never earn real loyalty. He'll never build a team that really trusts him, because manipulation erodes the very foundation of trust. And without trust, leadership is nothing more than coercion in disguise. The blunt truth is this: you might win the short game with tricks, but you'll never win your own respect. And respect, especially self-respect, is the foundation for happiness and fulfillment. Without it, success turns bitter. Achievements feel hollow. Relationships feel fragile. Here's the deeper tragedy. Tricks don't just fool other people. They fool you into believing that you're not enough as you are. They whisper, hide your real self, because no one would want that. So you hide. you wear the mask, and you keep acting. And the more you do it, the less faith you have in your own worth. And this is the seed of imposter syndrome. Always hiding, always terrified you'll be found out for who you really are. It doesn't matter how many dates you get or how many people follow your fake lead. You can't shake the suspicion that if anyone saw the real you, they would run away. So you cling on even harder to the tricks, even though they're the very thing keeping you stuck. And this is where manipulation reveals its deepest cost. It's not just that tricks erode trust with others. It's that they erode trust within yourself. Every time you manipulate, you reinforce the lie that you can't succeed just as you are, that you have to hide, that authenticity is dangerous. So maybe you win the short game, but you'll lose the long one. You gain attention, but lose connection. You get compliance, but not commitment. And worst of all, you never develop the one thing that could actually change everything for you. The courage to respect yourself enough to stop hiding. That's why the false path of manipulation is so seductive and so destructive. It promises control, but it delivers fear. It promises success, but it breeds insecurity. And the longer you walk that path, the harder it becomes to believe that you could live any other way. But there is another way, and it starts with dropping the masks. It starts with risking honesty. It starts with telling the truth, first to yourself and then to others, because only then can connection become authentic. Only then can respect, both given and received, take real root. And the irony is that once you stop hiding, you no longer have to worry about being found out. Jean-Paul Sartre had a phrase for the way we hide from ourselves. He called it bad faith. Bad faith is when we pretend we are something that we're actually not, when we act as if we don't have freedom and responsibility. At its core, bad faith is self-deception. It's lying to yourself about who you really are and what you really want. And the thing is, manipulation is just another form of bad faith. When you manipulate, you not only deceive yourself, you also deny the freedom of the other person. You trick them into choices that they wouldn't otherwise make if they had all the facts. It's a kind of theft. You take away their ability to choose freely, because the choice they make is based on a lie. Sartre believed that authenticity, the opposite of bad faith, meant owning your freedom and owning your choices, standing in the discomfort of being responsible for who you are and how you live. And not just owning your freedom, but respecting the freedom of the other. Because love, connection, leadership, these things only exist where both sides are free. C.S. Lewis painted the picture more vividly. To manipulate is to stand behind a mask, terrified of being seen for what you really are. To live authentically is to step into the light, however scary it may be. It's exposure, but exposure is where real trust grows. Now, let's ground this in something practical. Let's look at dating. Imagine a man who tells a woman up front, I'm not looking for commitment right now. I'd love to have a fun time, share good conversation, maybe have some adventures together, but I'm not ready for anything long-term right now. Many men wouldn't dare to say this because they're afraid it will scare her away. And yeah, sometimes it will. But here's the paradox. Those who stay are there for the right reasons. The connection, however casual, is honest. She knows the terms, and then she chooses freely. And he no longer has to carry the anxiety of being found out. This is the right thing to do. Now, a leadership example. Imagine a founder standing before his team and saying, this is the vision I see. I know it's not for everyone, and some of you may not want to take this ride, but this is where we're going. Again, some people will walk away, but those who stay will be loyal. They're the ones you want, because they were given the dignity of choice. That's what real leadership is. Stating your vision clearly and allowing people to align themselves freely, not tricking them with half-truths or corralling them with fear, but giving them the respect of transparency. When you look at it this way, manipulation doesn't just hurt the other person, it hurts you, it corrodes you. Because when you live in bad faith, when you hide, when you scheme, you erode your own integrity. You know, even if no one else does, that you have won under false terms. You know the relationship or the team isn't really yours. It's a product of masks and tricks and half-truths, and that knowledge will eat away at you if you're smart. The irony is, many people turn to manipulation because they want control. They want certainty. They don't trust that who they are is enough, so they lean on tactics. But in doing so, they give away the very control they crave, because now they're enslaved to the act. The moment the mask slips, the moment the trick wears off, everything they've built is at risk. Authenticity, by contrast, looks risky at first, but is far more secure. When you speak honestly, when you admit what you really want, when you reveal who you really are, it might scare some people away, but the ones who remain are there because they want the real you. They're the ones that are right for you. And that's the foundation of both self-respect and true authentic connection. Sartre's challenge was uncompromising. Stop lying to yourself. Stop pretending you don't have freedom. And stop trying to take away the freedom of others through manipulation. In dating or in leadership or in every corner of life, the call is the same. Step out from behind the masks. Step into the light. Risk being seen, because only when you and the other are free can connection mean anything meaningful at all. And of course, this is terrifying to some. It's far easier to pretend, to hide behind roles, to script interactions like a stage play, to stave off your fear. But the stage is a lonely place when no one knows the real actor beneath the costume. To live authentically, by contrast, is to risk rejection, but also to taste respect. Respect for the other and respect for yourself. And respect is the soil in which trust, love, and loyalty actually grow. So the question becomes, do you want the appearance of control, or do you want the reality of respect? Do you want mere compliance, or do you want trust? Do you want to be admired for the mask, or loved for who you are, the truth of who you are? That is the choice everyone faces in romance, and every leader faces in work. And that's the choice that reveals whether we're living in bad faith or an authentic existence. Look, again, tricks can get you results in the short term. They can get you a number, a date, maybe even compliance from a team or applause from an audience. And on the outside, it might look like success. But inside, it's hollow. Because you know deep down that it wasn't you who was accepted. It was the act or the tricks or the half-truths. And that knowledge will eat away at you so that you can't really relax. You can't let down your guard. You live with that deep anxiety that's always in the background, this gnawing sense that if the mask slips, then the whole thing will collapse. And that's the seed of low self-esteem. Because self-esteem is not built from applause or approval. It comes from knowing inside that who you are is enough. Tricks, by definition, deny you that knowledge. So do masks. They force you to believe the opposite, that you're not enough, that you need to put on an act or the masks in order to be wanted or accepted. Here's where Bertrand Russell's clarity cuts through. The problem with tricks is not that they fail to produce results. It's that they succeed in producing the wrong kind of results. Results that can never truly satisfy. If someone falls for the trick, they don't actually fall for the real you. They fall for the performance. And that leaves you lonelier than you were before. Because the relationship, whether in dating or leadership, is a sham. It's built on sand. This is why imposter syndrome thrives in people who rely on manipulation. They're always haunted by the sense that they'll be discovered. They wake up every day with the weight of having to keep the act going, and that is exhausting. Emotional exhaustion becomes the baseline, this background anxiety, and it undermines any sense of lasting happiness or fulfillment or contentment or peace or connection or love. Sometimes success comes with a hidden cost. You might have built a career, a business, or a life you thought you wanted, but inside, maybe you feel burned out or unfulfilled. Or maybe it shows up in your relationships with your partner, your family, or your team, where no matter how hard you try, the same painful patterns keep repeating. If this resonates, I've got something you might be interested in. It's a free 2-minute assessment that helps you uncover the number one block that's been holding you back in love, in leadership, or in life. And once you take it, you'll get a masterclass tailored specifically to your results, so you'll know exactly where to focus to move forward. It's quick, it's practical, and it can change the way you see yourself and your path ahead. Take the first step right now at dtphd.com/quiz. That's dtphd.com/quiz. The fallout is everywhere. Relationships remain shallow because vulnerability is too dangerous when you're hiding. Leadership feels hollow because people may follow your tactics, but they'll never give you their real trust. Even personal achievements taste bitter because at the back of your mind, you know the applause was never for who you really are. Tricks and half-truths and masks might promise freedom, but they deliver fear and anxiety. They might promise respect, but they will leave you restless. They might promise love, but they will leave you unknown and lonely. And as long as you lean on them, you'll never escape the cycle. You'll keep winning the wrong kind of victories, victories that only deepen the doubt in you that you were trying to escape in the first place. So when I use the term attraction coaching or something along those lines, most people jump straight to the assumption that it's about tricks, that it's about learning how to pull a fast one, how to say the right line, how to game the system. But that assumption says more about the person making it than about the work itself. Because the truth is, authentic connection has nothing to do with gimmicks. It has everything to do with becoming someone that you are proud of, truthfully. Someone you can look in the mirror and respect. At its core, the path isn't about faking confidence. It's about finding the courage to accept yourself as you are, while also growing into the person that you want to be and that you know you can become. That means learning the wisdom to discern who is safe to open up to and who isn't. It means having the guts to show, little by little, the deeper parts of yourself to those who have proven trustworthy and that you've deemed trustworthy. Now, let's be clear. Improving your body language, improving your vocal tonality, or improving your sense of style and fashion is not manipulation. Those are ways of getting out of your own way. If you mumble when you speak, people can't hear your intelligence or your humor. If you slouch, people won't notice your physical presence. If your clothes look like you grabbed whatever was clean off the floor, or if they're many sizes too big for you, your personality might not ever get a chance to truly shine. So these aren't tricks. They're just ways of expressing yourself more fully. It's the same with physical fitness. Working out isn't manipulation. It's taking care of your body so you can show up with energy and confidence. And yeah, it might make you look more sexually attractive. Or learning improv to loosen up your spontaneity. Or training in method acting to expand your emotional range and expressiveness. Or practicing conversation skills so you can actually connect instead of shutting down or unintentionally offending the other person. None of this is deceit. This is self-improvement. It's real, concrete, and honest. It's not a trick to learn how to stand taller. It's not manipulation to finally speak clearly instead of mumbling. It's not deceit to laugh with ease or to know how to share your emotions. Those are signs of growth, not trickery. At the heart of healthy attraction coaching is the process of earning your own self-respect authentically. So think of the difference this makes in real-life practice. A guy walks up to a woman at a mixer and says, I was nervous to come over, but I didn't want to kick myself later for not saying hi. Hi. That's not a line. That's honesty. And it takes some courage to go up and say that. And that honesty creates attraction because it's real. Or in leadership, imagine a CEO saying, this is the vision I see. It won't be for everyone, but if it resonates with you, I'd love for you to be a part of it. That clarity builds trust, not through manipulation, but through transparency. Now, when people say attraction is just about tricks, what they're really revealing is their own cynicism. They're assuming that no one could ever genuinely improve themselves, that the only way to be liked is through deception. But that's a reflection of their own worldview, their own unresolved insecurities and shame. The real path is harder, but infinitely more rewarding. It's self-respect. It's courage. It's the willingness to risk rejection by showing up as yourself. Maybe more polished than before, but still authentic to you. And it's granting others the dignity of choosing freely, without force or pretense. Now, this process of developing this degree of courage and earning your self-respect is a therapeutic process, primarily. Creating authentic connections liberates you. When you know you have improved yourself honestly, when you've shown up without needing tricks, and someone chooses you anyway, that's when you finally breathe easy. That's when respect, attraction, and trust all come together. So if someone still insists attraction coaching is about getting one over on the other, that says more about their own fears and insecurities and shame than anything else. They can't imagine a world where self-improvement and self-respect and courage are enough. But there is such a world, and once you taste it, you'll never want to go back. Because the path of authentic connection isn't about fooling anyone. It's about finally refusing to fool yourself. Now, just to be clear, authenticity isn't just some dating strategy. It's not some leadership trick. It is a way of being. And the deeper you go into it, the more you realize that it's less about performance and more about stripping away the performance that you've been clinging to for years. In ancient Taoist philosophy, there was a term for this, 自然. It means naturalness, spontaneity, the ease of letting things unfold without forcing or pretending. When you force, you create tension. When you pretend, you create distance between who you are and how you appear. Authenticity is the opposite of that. It's the courage to move with the grain of life, not against it, to stop hiding. Now, that might sound simple in theory, but the moment you try it, you discover why it's so hard. Because inside each of us are parts that don't want to be seen. Like the insecure boy who still remembers being laughed at, or the inner critic who says that you're not good enough, or the pleaser who just wants to avoid rejection at all costs. These parts are not enemies. They're protectors. They learn to shield you from the pain back then. But if you let them run the show now, you end up hiding your real self forever. And this is where the therapeutic approach really helps. In IFS therapy, or internal family systems therapy, you don't crush these parts. You don't make them go away. Instead, you get to know them. You learn their fears, their burdens, their history, how they came to be. And as you grow in self-leadership, you can reassure them, I've got this. You don't need to run interference anymore. Integration means that all of these parts can relax and trust your true self, you. And when that happens, you stop needing tricks because you're not run by fear anymore. In practice, this shows up everywhere. In romance, authenticity looks like walking up to someone you're attracted to and saying what you actually feel, even if it sounds or feels clumsy in the moment. Again, like, I was nervous to say hi, but I didn't want to leave and regret it later, so I'm David. You are? That's honest, that's real, and ironically, that courage itself can be attractive. Authenticity is the only path that creates real trust, because when you manipulate, you might win compliance in the short term, but you lose respect, yours and theirs. So the question I want to leave you with is this, and it's one worth wrestling with. Which is more dignified, to manipulate someone into choosing you, or to stand openly before them and let them choose freely? That's not some rhetorical flourish. It's a moral question. It's a philosophical question, and it's a practical one. Because every time you choose tricks over truth, you're teaching yourself that the real you is not enough. And every time you risk honesty, you're reinforcing to yourself that your dignity matters more than short-term control. Authenticity is not for the faint of heart. It asks you to trust that being seen, even in your flaws, even in your fears, is better than being admired for a mask. But once you've tasted that kind of connection, whether in love or in leadership or anywhere else in life, you will come to realize that it's the only kind of connection worth having. So let's bring this all together. We've seen how tricks might win in the short term, but they cost you your integrity in the long run. They leave you feeling like a faker, afraid the mask might slip. And we've seen how authenticity and radical transparency don't just create better relationships, it creates better lives. Because when you stop hiding, you stop living in fear and anxiety. You allow others to see the real you and connect with the real you and choose the real you freely. The key takeaway here is simple, but not easy. Real attraction cannot be faked. Tricks produce masks, not connection. Authenticity produces trust, respect, and joy. And in the long run, those are the things that matter most in a fulfilling life. So here's the challenge I want to leave you with. What masks are you still hiding behind? What truth are you still afraid to reveal? And what would change if you practiced radical transparency for just this week? Imagine walking into conversations without needing to know what to say, without needing a facade, and just saying what comes to your mind, what's real for you in the moment. Whether that's interest or nerves or excitement or doubt. What would shift in how others see you and how you see yourself? Because here's the deeper point. When you practice authenticity, you don't just build better connections with others. You build true, real self-respect. You build the quiet confidence that comes from knowing that whatever happens, you showed up as yourself and you have the courage to see it through. That's the foundation of lasting attraction and real leadership and real love. And if you want to go deeper into this work, I've built coaching programs that walk you through the process step by step. We practice dropping the tricks and the masks and building presence and creating real connection, whether that's in your dating life or in leadership or in your day-to-day life. So if this resonates with you, keep listening because I'll be sharing more about that soon. For now, take that challenge with you this week. Try dropping the masks. Speak and embody your truth and see what happens. Thanks so much for listening. If this has helped you in any way, please share it with anyone else who you think could benefit from it. If you liked it, hit a like or give it a good rating on whatever platform you're listening to this on. And if you have any feedback whatsoever, I'd love to get it. Leave a comment, send me a message. I'd love to get your feedback. I look forward to welcoming you to the next episode. Until then, David Tan, signing out.